Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Hello, and welcome to the Senior Resources Show. I'm Christine Cary, Director of the Town of Colonie Senior Resources Department, and I'm very glad that you're joining me today. My guest today is Ann Malak, Supervising Attorney for the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York. It's a pleasure to have Ann with us today. We've been colleagues and worked together for many years, and it's so many good services come out of legal aid, Ann. I'm so glad that you're here with me today.
Thanks, Chris. It's good to be here.
Great. Lots to talk about, a lot of things. We've worked so closely together over the years, helping so many seniors in the town of Colonie. I can't even begin to think how many people we've referred on to your services.
I think Senior Legal Services is at about 2,500 seniors since legal aid took it over.
Wow.
In 1997. So.
Well, it's a great service. Let's start by talking about the legal aid services, how you're funded, why it was important that these services are provided in Albany County, and how people can access the services.
Okay, the first is the Senior Legal Services Program, which is what I worked with you through for 8.5 years. And that's funded by the Albany County Department for Aging. And it's to provide free civil legal services to any resident of Albany County who's at least 60 years of age. There are no income guidelines, there are no asset guidelines. So as long as you're 60 and you live in Albany County, you can come in. And we have 9 intake sites around the county where you can make an appointment and meet with someone face-to-face, or we do have telephone intake as well.
Well, I know in the town of Colonie on the second Monday of every month, an attorney from your office comes. It is by appointment only,
right?
Because there's such a tremendous demand.
Right.
But I think what I like about the program is if we don't have space available, I've had clients go into the city of Albany or go to Guilderland. You don't have to necessarily go to the site that's in Colonie if you live in Colonie.
That's true. The attorney's name is Krishna Stark, and she's been doing the program for a little over a year now. She's doing a great job, and that sometimes some centers are filled up a month, but we do, as I say, have 9, so you can call to one of the other centers and see if they can fit you in, or on the phone.
Well, I know just by demand that it's a very well-received program. So I know you said civil types of issues is what they handle. Can you give me an idea of the range of things that a senior may call and inquire about and get assistance with?
Well, it's not just what people usually think of as elder law, which is, like wills and healthcare proxy, power of attorney, estate planning, things like that. While we can't advise on those issues, of course, and we do have availability in some cases to draft certain documents for people. It's really the whole range of services that someone might need. For example, they might have consumer questions. We've had people who are being sued for debts that they may not owe, and we've been able to assist some people with that. We've had issues of eviction. Where we've represented seniors in court and been able to preserve their right to stay in their home where they've been wrong, when someone's trying to wrongfully evict them. There might be a Medicaid or a Medicare question or a Social Security question, and those are all things that we can talk to people about. And we've advised about grandparents' rights, family issues. It's really the whole range of whatever someone might, find is causing them trouble in the legal system. The only things would not be like criminal law or traffic tickets, something like that.
Well, I know many times we're helping folks with Social Security disability issues or Medicaid questions, and our social workers are limited in their knowledge, so it's nice to be able to know that we can access your services just sometimes for information and advocacy on handling these issues for clients, or I know Krishna has helped quite a few of my seniors with issues around Social Security and Social Security disability. So, though people may think, like you said, of legal services of being wills and estate planning and so forth, yours is really more encompassing of the types of services that you help
we
people
try
with.
to sort of whatever someone would need. We also, in terms of the Social Security disability, have a special program called the Disability Advocacy Program. And Krishna, when she doesn't take cases herself, she sometimes makes referrals over to that program where we represent people who have been wrongfully denied Social Security disability or supplemental security income.
Now, that program is open to people of any age, correct? Because our viewers
right.
are not just seniors. So.
Right. For that, the Senior Legal Services Program, there's no income or asset guidelines. The Disability Advocacy Program does have income and asset guidelines. So Krishna can only refer certain clients over to that program. Or if someone of any age is having, finds that they believe wrongfully denied SSI or SSD, they can call our office, and we'll do an intake where they're asked basic background questions, and then we look at whether or not that's a case we can take.
And that is the population that really needs an advocate more than anybody. Folks who are disabled and are looking for benefits just to meet their basic needs.
And it can make a real difference. I just got a letter yesterday. One of our clients is going to be receiving $26,000, which is really going to make a difference in his life because he has, he's had housing difficulties. He has transportation difficulties. He has many difficulties, which this is going to help.
We one time had an individual that your office helped, and her Social Security, when her husband passed away, was not correctly adjusted for her.
For the widow's benefit.
For the widow's benefit. And she ended up getting a terrific amount of money and back Social Security benefits. And if we hadn't referred her to you for help, she wouldn't have gotten that.
Social Security does try, but I mean, sometimes we've had people come through who they just don't know how to present their case. They don't know what information is important. I had one senior come through who she had early onset dementia, and she really did not present her case to Social Security at all. She told them that her problem was that she had cataracts, leaving out the early onset dementia, which was what was really causing the problem.
Right.
So sometimes people with disabilities are the least able to present their best case.
That's why your services are so important. There's been some changes. There's been some new activities going on in the legal area. Do you want to touch on some of those for us? One of them being the Family Health Care Decision Act?
Yes, the Family Health Care Decisions Act was finally passed February 24th, and that is going to just be a very important change for New York law, because previously family members were not allowed to make decisions, healthcare decisions, if you became unable to make decisions on your own. If you did not have a healthcare proxy or a living will, your family was not able to make those decisions for you unless there was some other clear and convincing evidence that of what your wishes were. And this is a new law which is going to allow a surrogate to be appointed to make decisions for you if your healthcare professionals feel that you're no longer able to make your own decisions. And there's a list of, family, and close friends who would be prioritized in terms of who would be a possible surrogate to make decisions for you.
You said this legislation was a long time in coming.
Yes, I believe work on it started back in 1993. So this is something that is a long time in coming, and I think will be a real help to people in New York State.
Now, we'll go back a little bit. We'll talk about healthcare proxies and living wills, because I know how important those documents are, particularly the healthcare proxy for seniors and for everybody to have, really. Talk a little bit about the healthcare proxy, and in relations to this, in this new law, is there going to be, of course, we're going to encourage people to have healthcare proxies first, but how would a determination be made that a person would need a surrogate? I know a doctor would do it, but is there going to be a special form? Is there any pre-planning?
There's going to be a
done?
protocol that will, yes, the doctor's going to have to make the decision that you're not able to make your own decisions anymore. Similar to what there is with the healthcare proxy. Just because you've completed a healthcare proxy, that doesn't mean the other person is instantly going to take over your healthcare decisions. That only happens when your doctor certifies that you're not able to make your own decisions anymore. And in case of withholding life-sustaining treatment, a second doctor also has to concur in the decision. So what a healthcare proxy can still do for you is it can allow you to make the choice. It can allow you to name who you want to act as the person who's going to make decisions for you, because it might not be the person who would be the obvious person from the priority list. It might not be a family member. It might be someone else. And this would allow you to make that choice. I believe the Family Healthcare Decisions Act is going to kick in if you haven't otherwise made a choice. So the healthcare proxy allows you to make that choice, put it down in writing so people know what that is. Make your choice about who your agent's going to be, an alternate agent if you want to have one, and what specific care you would or would not want. Because otherwise they're looking at what would be in your best interest, trying to look at what you would want, but this is your opportunity to actually say what you do want.
And I think it's very important that when you're doing a healthcare proxy that you have those conversations often with family members or whomever you may choose to be your agent about what your wishes are. We have a nice sheet in our office that we give out. It's a values worksheet, it's called, and it kind of is a form that folks can do, attach it to their healthcare proxy, and it gives the family member or the agent a little bit more information to go by about what your wishes might be, because it's a difficult thing to be put in a position to have to make decisions if you haven't had these conversations.
Absolutely. I think it's much easier for a family member who feels they're simply relaying your wishes rather than trying to rack their brains and think if you've ever mentioned anything.
Absolutely.
The New York State Department of Health website also has an actual healthcare proxy form people can print off, and that has in its instructions and frequently asked questions has some areas that people might want to consider in terms of what kind of phrasing they might want to use, what kind of treatment they might want to consider, whether they want or whether they don't want or whether they have no opinion.
That's good information. Now, does it have to be a notarized document, and is there a time period that it covers or some information on that?
It doesn't have to be notarized. It does have to be witnessed. And the healthcare proxy does allow you to set a time period that it would be in effect, but I don't generally advise that you put a time limit on it unless there is some specific reason why you are doing that. And that would be because for myself and I think probably a lot of other people, time gets away from you. And you could have your healthcare proxy expire and you might not even realize it, or if, heaven forbid, something were to happen and you might need it and it just might not be there for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So while you can set a deadline, I wouldn't advise it.
It's a very, very important tool to have in a safe place, and I often tell folks to be sure that your doctor has a copy of your power of attorney or your healthcare proxy form, and your agent, and if you have a second agent. We've had a situation in our own family where my husband was the healthcare agent. We got to the hospital, there was no form. The hospital didn't have it. The family member didn't have it, we didn't have it, so we were scrambling to be able to make healthcare decisions.
Right, and that's something sometimes I've told people to keep it in their purse, let as many people know as possible that you have one and where it's being kept. That's another thing that can be helpful with the MOLST document, which that's the medical orders for life-sustaining treatment, and that has a place to actually indicate that you have a healthcare proxy. And that is something that is, it's bright pink, it's very easy to see. I think people are being told to keep it on the refrigerator or keep it by their bedside. And now there's even in development is an eMost form, which is an electronic, it'll be an online form to get it into a digital format so that it will be easily accessible, just really across the state to whatever treatment facility you might go to. And that will allow people to know right away what decisions you've made, what documents you have.
Wow, that's excellent. We did have a guest on speaking about the MOST, but if you want to give us just a little bit of an update, a little bit of information on
Sure.
that, just update our viewers.
Sure. Well, the eMost is, as I said, in development right now. They're hoping to have it effective in at least one facility by July of this year. Which would be great. It is an actual physician's order sheet, which is apart from the healthcare proxy. A healthcare proxy is something that you're signing, you're having witnessed, but it needs a doctor to say that you're not able to make your own decisions anymore to come into effect, which means if somebody comes out with an ambulance, there is not a doctor on that ambulance.
Right.
They are going to wait until they see a doctor, and therefore treatment might start that you might not otherwise want. The MOST is an actual physician's order sheet already filled out, and it goes into effect immediately when the doctor signs it. So that's one major difference. And the MOST a healthcare proxy is really appropriate for anyone who's at least 18 years of age. A MOST is more appropriate if you were seriously ill or chronically ill with a sort of advancing condition, or you really want to limit what kind of medical intervention you might have. So that is something that to consider as to whether that's appropriate for the individual person.
Is the MOST form available on the Department of Health website as well, or?
They have a link.
They have a link.
They have a
okay.
link to where you can order a form. And I think it comes in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
Just a comment I wanted to make as we were talking about your healthcare proxy and your MOST form being accessible. I just want to remind our viewers that don't have a Vial of Life form that that's a really important tool to have as well. And
in the refrigerator.
You keep it in the refrigerator. You put a red sticker that comes with it on your on your front door. So if EMS or somebody comes to your home, they know that you have a Vial of Life. And a Vial of Life just kind of names who your important contact people are, an updated medication list, your healthcare proxy, who your doctors are, your chronic conditions. It's just sort of a nice little tool. We hear from the EMS folks all the time that when they see that an individual has a Vial of Life done, it makes their job much easier. And you can get a Vial of Life through our department if anybody wanted to get one. So that's an important thing to have as well.
It is, because the thing is, however much planning you do, if people can't access the planning or they don't know where it is, it can't help you when you need it. So Vial of Life, you're right, people know where that is. They know it's going to be in the refrigerator if they see that sticker, and they can go after it and they can go get it.
And in a time when things are very stressful.
Right.
You have the paramedics there and you're not feeling well and family is stressed about having to make these decisions. Like you said, access is
Right.
very important.
And if you've got your pink MOST pinned to the front of your refrigerator too, well, there you are.
I had a woman who told me she was putting that right over her bed.
The MOST?
The MOST.
Yes. Yeah, that was the second place that they suggest that you put it.
Yeah,
So that,
Well, let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that we haven't covered yet. There have been some changes to the power of attorney law?
yes. In September of this past year, a lot of changes, actually. So if you have an old form from before September 2009 that you have not completed, do not complete it now. You want to tear that up. If you have an old form that you completed before September 2009, even if you completed it in August, that one's still good.
Okay.
But you can't complete the older form now and have that work. There's one of the major changes is regarding the gifting. The older form just sort of included gifting in their laundry list of powers you could authorize your agent to take care of for you. And it usually included your spouse, your children, more remote descendants, which means like grandchildren, great-grands, and your parents, up to, some of them I've seen 10,000, some of them I've seen 11,000. What that number is it's the amount up to which you don't have to file a gift tax return under the Internal Revenue Code.
Okay.
So it increases every year. So people didn't always know what it meant anymore, especially if if it had increased beyond what it was in the form that they had. But I've often seen people go down that power of attorney form simply initialing things, or they would go to the queue and just write all the letters. And you just don't know how much thought is going into that. So since the gifting is such an important issue, people giving away their property, they made something called the statutory major gifts rider. And that's for gifts that are over $500 per person per year. So if somebody's trying to give the Red Cross $500 and they give the Red Cross $500 every year, that's not a problem. You don't need the statutory major gifts rider for something like that. But if you're trying to do more than that, then you do need that, and that's a separate document. And I think that sort of really emphasizes to people that this is serious, this is important, and this is something that your agent could be making decisions without consulting you, without asking you, so you have to think about what you want to do. And it allows you to choose various options. For example, you could choose, giving gifts to your spouse, children, etc., up to the Internal Revenue Code limit. You could choose that option. Or you could choose, the agent can give gifts as you direct them or as they think is in your best interest. You can choose that option. Or, and if you want the agent to be able to give gifts themselves, you have to specifically say that separately. So that sort of really emphasizes the importance of the whole gift-giving issue.
Absolutely. It really brings that whole issue where we've seen so much abuse over the years.
Absolutely.
Really puts it in a completely different ballpark for seniors to really think about when they're making that decision. In our office, we will not give out the power of attorney form to anyone. We used to have family members call, and they wanted to do a power of attorney for their parent, and we're just not comfortable with giving out that kind of information and that kind of access to that form, when sometimes, I hate to say it, but, a family member or caregiver may be doing this without a family member, without their parent even knowing it, or their loved one, that this is being pursued. So it does raise concerns, and I'm so glad to see these changes that have occurred. Now, tell me, does this form have to be notarized as well?
This has to have two witnesses.
The
regular, yes. The regular power of attorney does have to still be notarized, and the agent also has to sign the new power of attorney form.
Oh, that's good.
So, so those are two new things with this signing. There's also, in addition to the gifting aspect of it, another protection is that the new power of attorney specifically has an option where you can choose to appoint a monitor who could receive records from the request records from whoever the agent is, and sort of keep tabs if you want to have that.
Another safeguard in place.
Absolutely.
Do you advise that this is done by an attorney, or can folks do this new form on their own?
They may be able to. The one thing that always has been of concern to me is that the statutory short form does have, what makes it short is that the powers that it authorizes are described by, say, 2 or 3 words. And people don't always seem to realize that what is behind those 2 or 3 words are you're referred to 2 or 3 pages of powers. So I do get concerned sometimes that people don't realize that. One of the powers that I like to talk to people about that really wasn't changed at all in the new power of attorney is the delegation power. That again, when people are just initialing everything, they give the delegation power, I think, without thinking about it. And what that is it allows the agent to delegate whatever power you gave to them to somebody else. And that may be what you want to do. It certainly gives flexibility, but another way you can give flexibility if the agent can't act is you could name more than one agent, or you could name an alternate agent. So those are other things you could consider if what you're trying to do is have a backup plan. So sometimes I think it can be helpful to have someone go through this with you and point out what might be pitfalls or what what might be of concern. For example, if you have someone with a large estate who you find is filling, who has not done estate planning, who you find is filling out the statutory major gifts rider, saying only the, I believe it's, last year it was $13,000. I'm not sure what the amount is this year. $13,000 per person per year.
Can be a significant amount of money.
Well, it can be a significant amount of money, but not if you're doing estate planning.
That's
so if you're limiting you could be limiting your agent regarding estate planning, and are you aware you're doing that? Mm-hmm. Are you aware that, is that something that you want to take care of yourself now? Or if you're thinking they're going to be doing this down the line, you might want to be careful about, limiting them. So that's one thing. Or if you find somebody who has been in the practice of giving, has been in the practice of giving large amounts to charity, and they're simply not filling out the statutory major gifts rider, that's also going to be, or be giving large amounts, helping out family members, that's also going to be something that could be an issue. Mm-hmm. So that's something that, while an attorney isn't required, it can be useful to discuss those things.
Yes. And can a senior come and get advice if they've filled out this form and they wanted to come to the senior meet with the senior attorney to kind of look it over and make sure that things are done appropriately?
If they had, if they have any questions about it, or absolutely, that would be something that they could call or make an appointment to talk about.
Very valuable service then for seniors, definitely. Mm-hmm. Definitely. We've covered an awful lot of things, but one of the things that I realized that we didn't cover, which is a program that's very near and dear to me and my department, is the nutrition outreach program.
Yes.
That comes through your office, that we access, not just for seniors in the town, but particularly for the disabled and the younger families who need assistance with this program. Do you want to tell me a little bit about it in our remaining time?
Sure. Alexis Burgos does it for Albany County. We do have it for some other counties as well. And what that does is she actually can assess your eligibility for the food stamp program. She can help you fill out an application. She can submit the application, which is very nice.
Yes.
And in a case of a senior or somebody who has a disability, or for someone who it's a hardship to have to go down to social services for their face-to-face interview, she can assist in trying to get that waived. So that's a really great program. And I know that it can really make a difference. I mean, I see Alexis getting, $140 for this one, $140 for that one, and, that's groceries.
It's a nutrition program. Food stamps is clearly a nutrition program, and it's changed so much now that it's, for those who don't know, you use a debit card in the grocery store, so you're using it just like your bank card.
Right.
It keeps track of how much you have in credit to be able to buy food. And eating well is the key to good nutrition. It saves on Social Security, disability, Medicare dollars. It's really a very important program. And I know we use Alexis a lot to help our disabled seniors, and for her being able to, and non-disabled seniors, younger folks who need this program. She knows the program in and out, and sometimes I question why a person was denied or got such the size of their benefit, and she can usually answer their questions and steer them in the right direction. And she comes to our office on the second Friday of every month. So if folks are interested in applying or meeting with her regarding their situation, they can call our office to make an appointment to meet with her, which is very nice that folks don't have to go down into Albany and deal with parking and so forth.
Right. And if the second Friday doesn't work, they can also call our office, which is 462-6765 or 1-800-462-2922.
Well, that's good information, and we will post your phone number at the end of this program. But we're just about out of time. We've covered an awful lot. Is there anything that you wanted to share in closing? Anything that you'd like to touch on?
Two other programs, just quickly. Our new homelessness prevention and rapid rehousing program actually can provide financial in addition to legal assistance. That is for people who are at risk of eviction and homelessness. For example, they've received a written rent demand or something like that. Not just, I'm supposed to pay on the 1st and here it is the 4th and I haven't got the money. If the landlord hasn't said anything, then that's not who would be appropriate for the program. But if your landlord is saying, look, you haven't paid your rent, I'm going, this is it. Absolutely you are. Also, we have a foreclosure prevention project, which is for people who have been served with foreclosure papers. And our website, which is www.lasnny.org, has a brochure with foreclosure information as well.
Very timely information.
Yes.
A lot that you're doing around housing. I wasn't aware of all that you were doing, and again, it's not just for seniors, it's for anybody who could be faced with these issues.
Anyone.
Correct?
And we have a children's law project for if you have a child with a disability, you could call.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Ann. I think we could talk another half hour. There's so many good services that come out of the Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today as well. Have a great day.